Hi everyone, great to be here with all of you. We've heard from some incredible speakers today. I'm really excited to deep dive into Mondelēz brands, Oreo and Ahoy, and really share more about how they're incorporating inclusivity and deep diving into creative strategies that really celebrate diverse communities. My name is Marandola. I lead media and data partnerships for AccuWeather, and I come from a world that at its core is an inclusive platform. You know, no matter where you are in the world or what your background is, weather is always happening, and it really affects our mood, mindset, and in turn our actions. You know, Oreo and Chips Ahoy are two universally loved and celebrated brands. You ask anyone, and they're usually going to tell you their favorite flavor of both Oreo and Chips Ahoy. Mine personally are Golden Oreos and Chips Ahoy Reese's. I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room that have strong feelings about their own. I also love Vishnu and Sabrina how internally you guys have a fun little cookie wars because these brands are so loved and so celebrated. So really excited to dive into this, and I'm going to pass it over to Vishnu and Sabrina to share more about their roles at Mondelēz and introduce themselves.
Great. Hi guys. Ooh, mic is on. Great. Hi everyone. I'm Sabrina Sierant. I lead Chips Ahoy for Mondelēz in the U.S. A little bit about me. One, I like that segment before, and I have to admit, a little secret, I am a Latina that doesn't speak Spanish fluently. So, you know, I feel like I have to share this now, but it's a brave space, safe space. Back to me, I've been at Mondelēz for about 11 years now. I've been on Chips Ahoy for about 5, and been in marketing the whole time. So worked across a variety of our other brands like Sour Patch Kids and Swedish Fish, and we have some amazing brands in the building. Today we'll talk about Chips Ahoy, so excited to share some of the work that we've done there. And then before Mondelēz, I worked a little bit at Hasbro and the Boston Beer Company, so I'm super excited to see this bar right here. I've never been up here before. Wonderful and impressive. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Vishnu.
Hi everyone, my name is Vishnu. I'm a senior brand manager on the Oreo team. I've been with Mondelēz for close to 7 years. I've been on the Oreo team for 5 years now, and I've worked across almost all sectors of marketing within Oreo. Done innovation, managed commercial, like partnerships like Super Mario, did brand acts like Holiday Only Allowance. But what really excites me is some of the purpose work that I get to do on the brand on a daily basis, because I get to see the impact of that on the community that we address, as well as the impact on the business. So, really excited to talk about some of our campaigns from the past and also share some learnings from there.
Great, so let's dive right in. So both of your brands have had really long histories building inclusive campaigns. How has your approach to marketing to these diverse consumers and audiences with intersecting identities really evolved to meet the consumer both present and future?
Okay, so I can go ahead and start. So for Chips Ahoy, you know, diversity and inclusion are critical for us. Our target consumer is Gen Z, who are fairly diverse, highly value inclusivity. But one thing that we changed a couple of years ago, it was a little bit of a step change in, you know, many of our marketing campaigns, diversity and inclusion is at the center. However, we built into our plan and carved out some funding for a campaign specifically with the goal of advocating for diversity and inclusion. So, you know, really a purpose-driven campaign, hoping to add value to these communities beyond just the cookies, the delicious cookies that bring joy to their lives every day. So I'll give you an example, and I'll show you a video at the end of one of our campaigns. For context, Chips Ahoy, you know, these craveable cookies with chocolate chips in every bite that bring a smile with every bite. Our brand purpose is to help you find your happy place. So when we think about our multicultural Gen Z consumers, for many of them, their happy place is creativity. And in fact, 63% of Gen Z does something creative every single day, many of times while snacking also. And so, you know, when we were looking at what is a tension around this that, you know, we can try to help advocate for and you know, rally people around. And one tension that we found is that while 48% of teens identify as a person of color, only 15% of creative work in major cultural institutions are actually from artists from communities of color. And so, you know, as a human, as a mom, like as a brand lead, I, you know, we decided to advocate for diverse artists and launched a campaign called Happy by Design. So I'll show you a little bit about it. Just really quickly, you know, we have an existing partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of America, which they are in the communities of a lot of our consumers and our fans and of these Gen Z. So we decided to partner with them, as well as the High Museum in Atlanta, who also shares, you know, the same passion and goal. And you know, we did a couple of things with this campaign that I was really excited about to help celebrate diverse artists and advance that work. So, you know, we had the typical social, digital, influencer campaigns highlighting diverse artists. But the one thing that I really want to highlight is that we worked with our agencies to create this interactive AR filter. And we launched it at the High Museum, and it featured all these up-and-coming diverse artists where you could go to the High Museum, put your phone up to the wall, and see the artwork on these blank walls of the High Museum. So that's where we launched it. And actually then after that had a national AR filter so folks could do it at their home. And for every use of the AR filter, we donated an additional $1 to Boys and Girls Club and to the High Museum, on top of our $1 million donation to Boys and Girls Club funding arts programs. And so this was, you know, our way to champion diverse artists and to help make an impact. And I will say we hadn't done an AR experience like this before, so our KPI was 80,000 uses. I was like, I hope somebody uses this AR filter. We actually got 270,000 people to use it, so we donated a little bit more than we expected on top of the $1 million donation. But it was really great, and also got a lot of earned coverage and pickup from, you know, some of the outlets like BET, even some trade outlets like Adweek and AdAge, you know, centered around the program. And so I want to go ahead and show you guys a little bit. It's a minute video, so stick with me. But that will probably bring it to life a little bit better than me.
For many teens, creativity is their happy place, and they look for creative role models they can relate to. But while 48% of teens identify as a person of color, only 15% of creative work in museums is made by artists of color. Since museums represent a pinnacle of success for creativity, that's not such a fun fact. Chips Ahoy is the brand that's here for happy, so we think teens' happy places should reflect them. We found an institution that's already leading the way in diversity, the High Museum of Art in Atlanta. We partnered with the High's teen team to launch an interactive AR experience to highlight creative work from more diverse artists and add even more happy to these institutions. Scan the QR code to see the art and trigger a $1 donation from Chips Ahoy to fund art programs that support multicultural creativity, up to a combined $15,000. In addition, we're donating $1 million over 3 years to Boys and Girls Clubs of America, so we can help create a future that's happy by design.
So incredible. I love how there's the action piece at the end, really just narrowing that impact with, you know, keeping that for future generations. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
Awesome. I talk about the Oreo story that.
Sorry, I forgot we had this last one, but this was just showcasing some of the other work and some of the influencers that were supporting it. I'm gonna let them click one more time to see if they play an overview English. Sorry.
Cookies was my biggest dreams come true by including my artwork in their AR gallery experience. Cookies is partnered with the Boys and Girls Club of America and the High Museum in Atlanta to represent and celebrate multicultural and AR. Cookies is donating $1 for every single use of either one of these filters. These filters can be used with a smartphone anywhere in the US, and you can find the filter in the link in my caption. For me, art spots really help me navigate real life. I know that artwork helps a lot of you navigate life, so funding for creativity is really important, and by using this filter, you're helping to make sure that happens.
We could skip the next one because I'm excited for you guys to hear about the Oreo campaign. It might make you cry. I will try not to cry on stage.
I got not cry.
No pressure. No, I'm really excited to talk about the Oreo story. So we've been marketing to diverse communities for a long time now. Just giving some additional context, we are a brand with more than 112 years of existence. we've been celebrating family connections for the same amount of time. So as a brand that celebrates family as part of its commitment, we celebrate families of all types, including the ones that have LGBTQ plus members. So when we look at our overall goal of sparking connections, when we think about where those connections could be at risk, it's when somebody comes out in the family. There is general lack of interest in having a real conversation, and that's when we see that breakdown happen. So for us, as a brand that wanted to play the space, we thought this is the right cultural conversation to drive. We wanted to talk about a story where we bring the importance of parental and community support for LGBTQ acceptance at the heart of it. So this is the background of why we chose the Pride space to play here. And when you think about the partners, one of the key part of our marketing strategy is to ensure that we work with authentic partners from relevant spaces that represent members of the community we are trying to reach. So when we were in the Pride space, we decided to work with PFLAG because PFLAG's own goal was specifically to create a world where all types of families are accepted. And that really corresponded well with Oreo's vision of connecting families. So we started our work on a campaign together with PFLAG in 2020. And our goal was to come up with a campaign that really shed light on the importance of family and community support in driving LGBTQ plus acceptance in the world. So as we look at the campaign first, and then I'll talk about how we brought this campaign to life specifically. So let's look at the video first and just take a look.
Hey.
Hey,
You okay?
I'm good. Here.
Look at you.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, baby.
Mom, this is Amy.
Oh, it's so nice, Amy.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, I'm Amy.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Are you hungry?
Yes.
Come on.
Oh, yes, please.
Homemade jam. It's really challenging to be
Oh my God.
in jar.
Wow. Nice to see you.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You just wanted my help, I know.
Chocolate all over your face.
You're the
Just,
cutest
this is
little
enough.
baby.
Here you go. Happy birthday.
Hey, Dad.
Hey,
Night.
Night.
good night.
John. Is that your dad?
What is he doing? Dad.
Did I do it right? I love you. You like it?
I love it.
Thank you. What really works about this campaign for us is like the kind of input we got from PFLAG. It was important that their presence helped us inform the tone of the film, the authenticity of the storytelling here. We wanted to make a real impact. So typically, most of the brands activate during the month of Pride, which is June. In this case, because this was a coming out story, we decided to go with the National Coming Out Day, which was in October. So while we were active throughout the year on Pride, we made sure this campaign actually stood out and was able to share the message out to the larger world. Beyond the campaign, we also wanted to make sure that we made a real impact in terms of getting consumers to take some action. So we launched a small limited edition bag that consumers, so it was a rainbow cookie bag that was only available to consumers who were willing to show their allyship on social media. Along with this, we also work with influencers to again drive home this message of allyship from their side to get more organic support. So overall, this campaign helped us land the right message in a very positive way. I think this is one of the most appreciated campaigns we've done internally, and the impact of this is still seen across our internal groups and external agencies as well. So it's been a pleasure working on this one.
Both such incredible campaigns, and from a consumer perspective, really having that impact, connecting with them on such a visceral level. I know I saw that spot, and I immediately called my father right after. So it hits the heartstrings. But would love to hear more about some best practices for navigating these cultural nuances and avoiding pitfalls when creating campaigns for diverse audiences.
Yeah, I can take that one first. So I think in today's time it's even more important than ever before to be aware of cultural nuances across communities and know how to appeal to diverse audiences. So when you look at all of the campaigns we've done, I think the best practices that have worked for our brand is there are two things. So one is being able to work with relevant organizations who authentically have been working for the communities you're trying to reach out to. And second, how do you engage with members of the community as you're creating those campaigns? So how do you involve them through the entire process of execution, through ideation, creative, as well as execution? So actually, I can play another example of a campaign that we did in 2022. This was a follow-up campaign from the Proud Parent film. So while Proud Parent was all about how the journey that families go through once their loved ones come out, the Lifelong Ally campaign was all about active allyship. Allyship is not just a one-time thing. It's not about saying you support your loved one once they come out. It's an ongoing process. So we wanted to talk about lifelong allyship, and we created a film called The Note, which showed the story of a Chinese American boy who's coming out to his extended family after having previously come out to his parents. So this is a different sort of journey. We continued working with PFLAG because of the authentic storytelling we were able to do. I would like to first show the video before we talk about the best practices we did here.
你们不要过半个地球来着，就是想给我们更好的生活。可是我是可是我爱你。
爱
我爱你。
I think you're ready.
妈妈，你累了吗？还好。
你呢？你 ready 了吗？
So, I mean, some of the best practices that we did here, obviously one was working with feedback, because that's key part of our learning process, because as a brand, we can only provide a platform to share these stories, it's not our story to tell. Okay? The second piece is, when we are representing a Chinese American story here, it's important to have real, authentic narratives write that story. So our executive creative director from the agency we were working with, this was inspired from his own story of coming out to his extended family. So that made sure that we covered all of our details, just to not come across as too we also decided to work with Alice Wu, who's a acclaimed filmmaker from the queer community, who's worked on some of queer movies like The Half of It. So she also brought in her experience of coming out in front of her first generation Chinese American family. So we made sure that all of the experiences that we captured in the movie came from authentic places so that our message was not lost in any way. So those are some of the best practices as I've seen. So making sure that you have the right partners to work with and you have an authentic story to tell.
And just one other build, I think, is something we've learned is at Mondelēz, we test all of our creative before we air it, and it follows a very structured and similar framework for everything. And is it delivering the impact, the engagement, the distinctiveness, and then you get a score if it's green, you can air. I think with some of these, my advice would be, if it's a purpose-driven campaign that has slightly different goals, reconsider how you're testing it and what your KPIs are, because they're not your typical ones. So, I think it's, you might have to, I think we have to kind of be brave enough to fight and say, hey, this is not how we should test this. And I think some of them, we might not have seen this air, or some of our campaigns air if we held them to, the same KPIs and the same methodology. But when we do it and we slightly alter to really understand, is this accomplishing our goal, then you understand, yes, it is great creative and you should air it. So that's just one other thing to know.
Yeah, that authenticity, in marketing is so crucial. And many times marketers choose to incorporate, advocacy groups, influencers, brand ambassadors. How do you both approach that? And what kind of partnerships, do you really focus on to ensure that your marketing efforts are really, truly making that impact?
Yeah. I'll start. For Chips Ahoy, I don't think we could have done our program without the Boys and Girls Club, or we wouldn't have. And my advice is, if you're going to pick a partner or a group, is to try to build a medium to long-term relationship with them, and ensuring that they have a connection with your community. I think for, the film that I showed that campaign was Happy by Design. That was year 2 of a program with them for Boys and Girls Club. And, they really bring, year 1 was another program where we actually, it was called Follow Your Art, and we gave up our pack to designs from Boys and Girls Club's teams. And so we had, limited edition packs highlighting their artwork. And what I would say is that group gives us the credibility in this space and brings, like you said, brings the authenticity. But for us, it can't be just a one-year thing, which is why, listen, $1 million to, make that commitment for us was something new. We hadn't done that on the brand to say we're going to make $1 million donation, which, is hard, can hit hard on your budget, but it's worth it. You've got to, especially as folks come in and out of marketing roles, a 3-year commitment on something, isn't, it's a little bit, it can be challenging to say we're going to commit to this for 3 years, but I think you really should strive, because it helps really build out the program. And, like you were saying with PFLAG, then if you have that strong partner, you can really build a program with them in a way that is will be meaningful to those consumers. And then, specifically with Boys and Girls Club, it also helped us unlock other influencers. So they have a lot of alumni that are very passionate about their cause that also have loved Chips Ahoy cookies. So we were able to leverage Ruth Carter, who is this amazing costume designer from Black Panther, and she was on our panel list speaking to teens, about, her challenges coming up. Or in the first year, we partnered with Mario Lopez, who's a Boys and Girls Club alum. So I think like having that strong relationship with that partner can help also unlock authentic influencers to help that share both causes as well.
I can add a bit to this, like Sabrina mentioned here. When we work with PFLAG, it's an ongoing relationship. What adds credibility is that we have a financial donation as part of our partnership, which goes into servicing some of the community that we want to serve directly. In addition to that, we also work with our internal ERGs a lot. So in our case, the Rainbow ERG, which is set up specifically to make sure that there's an open and inclusive environment for LGBTQ+ employees within Mondelēz. They are part of a lot of the activation we do. So the ideation goes to them. They vet the idea, just making sure that everything looks right. Sometimes we even partner with them on campaigns. So then the third portion is across all the campaigns that you saw, we bring in real authentic people as part of the narrative. So the Proud Parent campaign that you saw had the lead actors are actually a real life couple. The director of the movie was part of the LGBTQ+ community. Then you look at the Note movie, the executive creative director was the one who inspired the story. So across all campaigns, we make sure that we have real representation of the community to bring home the message for the community. So that's the general theme that we follow.
So I know we're over time here. Real quick, I do want to share today is a very important day at Mondelēz. It is Perks Day, which really focuses on providing the right snack for the right communities, doing right by the planet as well. So in closing, can you both share a little bit about how you're really incorporating diversity and inclusion in your marketing strategies?
I can go first. So in our case, one of our friends at Unstable Tech Alliance basically had done a research and told us that inclusion is equal to income. So while from a value perspective it makes sense, it also impacts your long-term as well as short-term sales numbers, having inclusivity in your marketing campaign. So one of the elements I would want to talk about is the DEI awards that we have at the end of every year. It's basically to celebrate all of the amazing inclusivity work that happens within Mondelēz. So there are like 4 pillars. So there is culture, DEI impact, there's community impact, there's an ERG leader of the year. And so across these pillars, we celebrate anyone who uses inclusivity as part of the growth strategy. So that's something that we invite on a daily basis for all of our campaigns.
Yeah, and one last closing thing is, what I love about marketing at Mondelēz is we put it on a stage. We do have global marketing awards every year, make it a big deal, roll out the red carpet, give actual plaques and awards and everything. And there are 6 categories, and every brand team, every campaign that you do, you're like, you want that campaign to be one of the finalists or winners of these marketing awards across the globe. And one of the categories celebrates campaigns that make an impact with diversity and inclusion. So that's another way that I think helps motivate, reward, and encourage our marketers to include.
That's amazing. Well, let's give a round of applause for our great speakers.